Felicitous greetings, fellow fanatics. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Fanatic, and today we're going to be taking a look at Biomass by Final Scene Dev, an action-adventure title with light Metroidvania elements. In Biomass, you'll take on the role of a nameless wanderer, waking up in an unfamiliar lab. You'll soon find yourself exploring a strange and twisted post-apocalyptic sci-fi world made of numerous skyscrapers that peak above an endless flood. You'll start your journey with a beam saber, a hat, and a cloak that makes this man with no name look just a little bit like the man with no name. Combat is where Biomass shines brightest. Fights are fast, fluid, and frantic. They're also very brutal. Even at the start of the game, you can only take a couple of hits. This is somewhat offset by the combo meter in the lower left corner of the screen. By repeatedly attacking enemies, you'll build it up. When it gets 4 sections filled, you'll be able to heal yourself for about a third of your HP. Build up all the way and you'll be able to heal completely. Though you start with just your fists and a beam saber, you'll soon find a variety of weapons. Melee weapons each have their own speed, damage, and reach. Many are capable of clashing against one another or even staggering a foe's stance with a well-timed parry. Beyond that, you can even deflect small projectiles. Mind you, I said deflect, not redirect or reflect. You're no Jedi, and you can't return these attacks to the shooter. Of course, you'll also have ranged weapons of your own. You can't just spam shots, and your starting pistol is fairly useless, but once you find one you like, it can be an immense help for safely damaging foes before they close the distance. I don't know if I found every weapon in the game, but I did come across over a dozen of them, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. The rapid back and forth of combat, especially against human foes that fight in a similar manner, is simply amazing. The game flows best in fights against human bosses that clash in a way that provides for extremely satisfying swordplay that's nearly unmatched. It's not rare to hear people say that Jedi Academy had the best lightsaber fighting of any Star Wars title, and I can't say that they're wrong. But the battle against the Distorted Man felt more satisfying than any saber duel in any Star Wars game I've had the honor of playing. The game has a number of RPG elements to it. Firstly, you have equipment. In addition to assigning 2 melee weapons, you'll also be able to equip 3 items. This includes the aforementioned guns, as well as grenades and a number of single-use items with various effects. You can also equip 2 mods, items that will let you tweak how you play. All mods seem to have a trade-off of some sort. None are purely beneficial, though you'll be able to pick ones that suit your playstyle. Finally, you'll also be able to equip pieces of various outfits, which can help you to blend in with various factions so they won't attack you. Beyond that, your outfit is purely aesthetic. It provides no armor to you. Along the way, as you defeat enemies, you'll acquire Biomass, which acts as a currency of sorts. When at a save point, you can use Biomass to either craft new items or to enhance your stats, with the cost of the latter rapidly increasing. You won't be able to make a wide variety of items early on, but as you continue to play, you'll find more and more schematics along the way. Along the way, you'll find a handful of items that will help you to explore the world. I hesitate to call this a Metroidvania, as the use of such items is very limited, and while 2 of them are weapons, they're only usable outside of combat in a handful of very specific situations. Visually, the game looks pretty good. You have highly detailed sprites, everything moves fluidly, and some of the designs on the inhuman pallets are pretty interesting. On the downside, environments do feel rather one-note. They're well detailed, but as the game goes on, it feels like there's very little variety in said environments, all of them seeming to just sort of blend together. Spoilers are going to be a little different today. While I will be briefly touching on the plot as usual, there's also a game mechanic that is sort of woven into the story. If you wish to avoid spoilers, please skip ahead to the time coordinates indicated on screen. Initiate temporal distortion now. Still with me? Then don't say I didn't warn you. Plot-wise, the game is, well, there is a plot of sorts, but the game definitely feels like it would benefit from more exposition on the matter, and feels very ambiguous. There's quite a number of NPCs you can talk to, especially if you dress in the garbs of enemies so they'll talk to you rather than attack you, but it feels like the game doesn't say enough of what's actually happening. Even when you finally get to the ending of the game, it sort of just stops without warning. Nothing afterwards to explain what just happened. Personally, I think the game might be an allegory for limbo or purgatory or something like that. Maybe? That's not a jab at loss, that's actually what I got from the game. Since in Groundhog Day fashion, if you don't meet the requirements for the ending, you'll loop back to the beginning of the game and start over. Unlike Mr. Connors, you'll keep all the items you acquired on your previous loop, with the game designed to take 3 loops on your first playthrough, acquiring new items on your first and second run of the game to unlock new areas. Although if you know what you're doing, it is actually possible to complete the game in a single loop. Welcome back, Chrononauts. You're just in time to join us for the conclusion. Before giving the game a score, we should touch on a few final points. Firstly, the game has a lot of dead space. There are times where you'll have to travel through a fair bit of empty corridors to get where you need to go, and the only save point will be before those empty corridors. So if you die, you'll have to run through them all over again. With this game's difficulty, you'll be dying a lot. I don't consider the game's difficulty to be a negative point, though you should be warned it definitely will throw some players off. It's clearly in the top decile so far as games that I've played, comparable to the likes of Celeste or Mega Man 02. The game uses one of those obtuse, lose all your money and respawn systems, where your biomass will be held at the point you died at. As I've said about other games that use a similar system, this discourages the player from exploring, and forces you to repeat the same path over and over again. It's a major case of, if it isn't broken, don't fix it, where simply allowing the player to reload from the save point would have been a better solution. On the topic of reloading saves, I should mention that the game only has one save file. Want to let a friend or family member try the game? You're going to have to let them restart from the beginning and wait until they're finished until you can play it again. Of course, save files are local, so if you really want to, you could manually go into the save files and make a backup of your own game, but there's no reason you should have to do this. All in all, Biomass is an impressive project for Final Scene Dev's first release. The game has some of the most satisfying combat I've ever seen, and the battle against the Distorted Man in particular is an amazing boss fight. Weapons are varied and will give rise to many different playstyles, allowing players to customize the way they fight to match. On the downside, the game does make some obtuse design decisions, including points where it does things differently from the norm simply to be different from the norm, even at the detriment of gameplay. That being said, you will be spending most of your time playing Biomass in combat, and combat is where the game is strongest. While it's not what I'd consider a masterpiece, I'd say the good definitely outweighs the bad here, and seeing as this is the first game released by the studio, I'm certainly eager to see what they come out with once they have more experience under their belt. In conclusion, I find Biomass worthy of a solid 8 out of 10. If you're interested in purchasing Biomass or learning more, links are included in the description. But what about you? What do you think of Biomass? What games did you find to be impressive first titles for new studios? If you have any questions, remarks, or opposing points of view, leave them in the comments down below, and please remember to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. Until next time, farewell, fellow fanatics. Thank you again for watching. I have plenty more to share with you if you're interested. You can click up here above my head to subscribe to my channel. You can click over here on my monitor to see the most recent video that I've worked on. Or if you prefer, you can click up here to open this mysterious vault and see what video that the YouTube algorithm has picked just for you.